Welcome to Space Drift. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. The world of social media held its breath as millions watched and waited for news that could reshape the digital landscape. A staggering $200 billion deal to secure TikTok's future in the US was on the verge of completion, promising stability for one of the world's most influential platforms. The plan was bold: spin off TikTok's American operations into a US majority-owned company, a move designed to ease national security fears and satisfy lawmakers on both sides of the aisle. Investors cheered, and the White House signaled its approval, seeing a rare moment of consensus in a divided political climate. The finish line was in sight, and hope surged for a new era of digital cooperation. But in April 2025, everything collapsed, not in Washington but in Beijing, where the real power over TikTok's fate resided. ByteDance, TikTok's Chinese parent, stunned the world by announcing that the Chinese government would not approve the sale, abruptly halting negotiations. The move was widely seen as retaliation for President Trump's sudden 34% tariff hike on Chinese imports, escalating an already tense trade war. Beijing turned TikTok into a bargaining chip, halting the deal and intensifying the standoff between the world's two largest economies. For 170 million American users, uncertainty loomed large, casting a shadow over their digital lives and daily routines. Creators, businesses, and entire communities suddenly faced a digital abyss, unsure if their livelihoods and connections would survive. The collapse wasn't just a corporate failure, it threatened a vibrant cultural ecosystem, silencing voices and creativity that had flourished online. American investors were left in limbo, ByteDance trapped between two superpowers, and the global tech industry watched in disbelief. The dream of an American-owned TikTok vanished overnight, replaced by confusion, frustration, and a sense of loss. The question now hangs in the air: what happens next, and can the digital world ever return to what it was? All eyes turned to President Trump after the deal's collapse, his tariffs having triggered Beijing's refusal. Instead of an immediate ban, Trump surprised many with a measured response. He extended ByteDance's deadline to divest U.S. assets by 75 days, pushing the decision to mid-June 2025. Trump publicly expressed hope to work with China, acknowledging their anger over tariffs. This was more than a delay, it was a strategic pause, signaling openness to negotiation. The White House faced a dilemma: appear tough on China, but avoid alienating TikTok's massive user base. TikTok wasn't just entertainment, it powered the creator economy and music industry. The extension became leverage, keeping the door open for compromise. The fate of TikTok was now tied to the high-stakes chess match of US-China trade. Millions waited anxiously for the next move. The roots of the crisis stretched back to 2024, a year marked by growing anxieties over technology, privacy, and global power. That was when Congress passed a landmark law, forcing ByteDance to sell TikTok's US assets or face an outright ban, a move that sent shockwaves through the tech world and beyond. National security was the driving concern: fears of Chinese access to American data, manipulation of public opinion, and the potential for foreign influence over millions of US users. For the first time, the US had a legal mechanism to force a sale or ban, setting a precedent for how America might confront foreign tech giants in the future. When Trump took office in January 2025, he inherited this volatile situation, with tensions already running high between Washington and Beijing. Instead of enforcing the ban immediately, his administration chose to delay, using the new law as a powerful bargaining chip in high-stakes trade negotiations with China. This strategic pause allowed a $200 billion deal to be negotiated, raising the stakes and setting the stage for a dramatic showdown between economic interests and national security. ByteDance found itself trapped in the crossfire, caught between US legal demands and Beijing's refusal to capitulate, with its global business hanging in the balance. The 2024 law became the chessboard for this high-stakes geopolitical game, where every move was scrutinized by both governments and the public. Every action, tariffs, deal blockades, and diplomatic threats, was made with a legal deadline looming ever closer, intensifying the pressure on all sides. The clock was always ticking, adding urgency and tension to every diplomatic and corporate maneuver, as the world watched and waited for the next move. ByteDance faced impossible choices, pressured relentlessly by both Washington and Beijing, with no easy way out, and the stakes higher than ever. The future of TikTok, and the precedent it would set for global tech, hung in the balance as the world's two superpowers played a game where time was running out. China's decision to block the TikTok sale was a bold countermove, using Trump's own tactics against him. By refusing the sale, Beijing showed it wouldn't be bullied, leveraging its regulatory power as a weapon in the trade war. The message: China would not allow a prized tech company to be sold under foreign pressure. Analysts saw this as a demand for US concessions, likely tariff reductions. ByteDance was left in an impossible position, having structured a deal to satisfy US concerns but needing Beijing's approval. The episode highlighted how thin the line is between private enterprise and state interest in China. Beijing gambled that Trump wanted to avoid the political fallout of a TikTok ban. TikTok became a point of leverage, shifting the dynamics of US-China relations. The tech sector was now a central battleground in the superpower rivalry. The message was clear: China would fight back if its technology was threatened. After months of stalemate, a breakthrough came during high-level trade talks in Spain. On September 15, 2025, President Trump announced a new framework had been reached, without naming TikTok, but everyone understood. The issue was now part of broader trade negotiations, with progress on one front linked to the other. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent confirmed a preliminary agreement, lending weight to Trump's announcement. The revival of the deal signaled a de-escalation of tensions and renewed willingness to compromise. The Spanish talks provided neutral ground for diplomacy to work. For TikTok's creators, businesses, and users, the news was a huge relief. The threat of a ban faded, replaced by cautious optimism. A final resolution seemed possible before year's end. As the dust settled, details of the new deal began to emerge. American investors would now own a commanding 80% of TikTok's US entity, creating a much stronger firewall than ever before. This was a dramatic shift, signaling a new era of American oversight and influence over one of the world's most popular social media platforms. The most significant change, however, was the introduction of Oracle into the equation. Led by Trump ally Larry Ellison, Oracle would not just be a silent partner. They would take control of the US algorithm, the very heart of TikTok's operations in America. This move was designed to neutralize persistent fears of Chinese data access and manipulation, offering a new level of transparency and security for American users. The algorithm, often described as TikTok's secret sauce, would be Americanized, with its code and data flows overseen by US engineers. This was a direct response to national security concerns, aiming to ensure that the platform's powerful recommendation engine could not be influenced from abroad. ByteDance, TikTok's Chinese parent company, would retain only a minority stake. This allowed them to avoid a total loss of their prized asset while still complying with tough new US legal requirements. The US government would now have the power to secure user data and control the influential algorithm, marking a major shift in how global tech companies operate within American borders. Ellison's personal involvement reassured the White House, providing a trusted American face at the helm and helping to secure President Trump's crucial approval for the deal. In a key move, Trump extended the deadline to December 16, 2025, giving all parties more time to finalize the complex deal, iron out technical details, and secure the necessary regulatory approvals from both sides of the Pacific. The blueprint for this new TikTok was more than just a sale. It was a bold act of techno-political engineering, setting the stage for a new era of digital sovereignty and cross-border cooperation. The ultimate goal was clear: to create an American-led TikTok that could thrive independently, free from foreign influence, and continue to innovate for millions of US users. Yet, the deal's success would depend on ongoing cooperation and delicate negotiations between Washington and Beijing, as both sides sought to protect their interests. Around the world, governments, tech leaders, and everyday users watched closely as the final details were hammered out, knowing the outcome could reshape the future of global technology. If the new framework holds, the implications go far beyond TikTok. For 170 million Americans, it means continuity. Creators, businesses, and communities can carry on. The app's content would remain familiar, but its data and algorithm would be managed on US soil, yet the forced sale sets a precedent. Other countries may demand similar control over foreign tech. We may be entering an era of digital nationalism, a fragmented, splinter-net world. Oracle's control of the algorithm raises questions about corporate influence and political favoritism. How Oracle manages this responsibility will set a standard for future tech governance. The TikTok saga is a landmark in the collision of technology, trade, and geopolitics. It's not just about one app, it's about the future of our digital world.